Hi, my name is Fran and I live in Glasgow. Although I was born in Germany, I've been here since 2018 and I work as a translator for video games. So normally I set my alarm for 7:30, but I hardly ever get up at 7:30 because I'm not a morning person. I mostly get up at 7:45ish, and then the first thing I do is usually I feed the cats and empty their litter tray because it's disgusting, because my cats are disgusting, but I love them very much. And then I usually take a shower and put the coffee on because I work from home. So if I start at 8:30, I am usually ready at 8:30 to log in to my computer. So I've got my equipment here in my office. And I need to close the door because I work with NDAs because of the video game thing. It's very restricted in what information you can give out and what you can't share and all of that stuff. So yeah, I log in at 8:30 and then I start my work. First I load up all of the programs. I say hello in the channels over which we communicate about our issues. Strictly professional issues, obviously. And yeah, then I look for new things to translate. We usually do it in rounds for video games. So if there's an update, that's a new round, or if there's a new add-on, or different parts of the game that we're working on, if they're being translated usually from Japanese into English, and then we work from the English translation into our different languages, mine being German in this case. Yeah, and I usually do that. So finding new things to translate in the game, or I sometimes have to rework translations that have been changed, or that have been omitted or have been altered, or I proofread what my colleagues do as well. We're currently 3 people on the German team. Yeah, at some point I usually get my coffee because I cannot work without my coffee. Well, I could, but I would make more mistakes than with the coffee. There you go. Yeah. I technically have a lunch break sometime around 12:30, but I don't usually take it that strictly because that's not really how I work. It comes sort of in bursts a little bit, so I'll have 2 hours of complete focus and then 50 minutes I just need to do something else. So that's usually what I do on my break. I do laundry or housework, I do the dishes, play with the cat, entertain it, things like that. Or I read or work for my freelance project. And that's usually my day until 5:30. There's not much more to it. I just look at what's to do. The tasks change every day. Sometimes we have to translate things back from German into English, or we have calls with the client that we're working for. Because I'm technically outsourced to a company that tests video games and that translates video games. So I'm not technically employed by our client, but I still work for the client, and that's pretty cool. So recently I was able to see my own name in the credits for a game that I really liked as well, so that was pretty cool. And then at 5:30 I log off and I switch off the computers and I try to leave this room as soon as I can. Feed the cats again, because that's what they need, food twice a day. And then depending on the day, I usually make dinner or I read for a bit. Some days I still work after my usual shift has ended because I also work as a freelance translator for streaming services and translate TV shows or films. I did one of those cheesy Christmas films recently, which was a lot of fun. But that usually means that I end up working more than 10 hours a day during the week. So sometimes I do that, or I play video games myself. I hang out with my partner, hang out with the cats. I meet up with friends and play Dungeons and Dragons a lot. So sometimes I need to do prep for that because I DM them. I'm the game master, so I come up with a story and then I lead them through it and we play it together, usually via Zoom. But for that I go into the living room just to have a bit of a change of scenery, if you will, because I like to separate my work and my outside of work life, just to keep a bit of a balance, because as a freelancer, or at least part-time freelancer, that's a bit difficult sometimes. After that's done, it's usually about 10, 11ish, and then I get ready for bed, brush my teeth, that sort of thing, and then I think I usually go to bed between 11:30 and midnight, and depending on how I feel, I read a bit or stare at my phone and scroll through social media, and then put on some kind of podcast or audiobook, because my brain doesn't stop and doesn't go to sleep by itself, so I usually have to listen to people talking somewhere. And then I usually fall asleep between midnight and midnight. And that's a normal day during the week.